Good morning. I'm glad to be with you. A little sip of coffee, please. My wish for you is joy, peace. I hope that you have a joyful, peaceful time in your life this season. May our hearts be grateful, humble. But when I look at this time of the year, and I know in my own life, I see my own kids in my own life, I see a lot of selfishness. Wherever we turn, there are needy people all around us, the hungry, the undernourished, the underprivileged, the aged, people who are growing old, and they just can't get around. And they can't take care of themselves the way they ought to take care of themselves. Lonely. Man, I see so much and hear so much about loneliness this time of the year. People are lonely. One man said to me yesterday, I don't think my family's going to get to see me this year. I said, why? He says, oh, they live too far away, and they told me they don't think they can get down this year. Loneliness, just longing for that community, that relationship with loved ones. It's not all sunshine and happiness and joy. Some people are sick. Some people are going through catastrophic things in their lives and they're just wondering, how am I going to make it? This is a time we remember those who are serving abroad. God bless you for your service. God bless you for putting yourself on the line so that we can have freedom to worship, freedom to speak, and freedom to do other things. We pray for you. We pray for your dear families who I'm sure are wishing husband, father, grandfather was home. No husband, no wife to celebrate with. God be with you. And God bless you, and I pray that you'll have a wonderful, wonderful Merry Christmas. I'd like to tell you a little story. It's a story that's been around for a long time. It's called An Old Christian Legend. And it's about an old gentleman who was a shoe mender. He would fix shoes. He would put soles and heels and a shoe mender, what do you call him? Shoe mender. Conrad was his name. He loved the villagers. Day after day, he would tap from his little shop, mending shoes. But he lived alone. But he always had a kind word for everyone. And time again, people who would meet him in the street, they would leave with a lighter heart, pair of mended shoes. But Christmas was drawing near. And for Conrad, there was no one to look forward to having Christmas dinner with. He had no family. He had no guests to come to his house to eat, to fellowship, and he was concerned. He was concerned, who am I going to share Christmas with? So he prayed and he prayed and he prayed. He says, Lord, I wish you'd give me someone that I could share the holiday season with. An angel appeared to Conrad late at night as he was praying and told him that you're not going to be alone this Christmas. Everything's going to be okay. There's a plan. Conrad, you're going to have a guest. Man, he was so elated. He had the promise that the Lord himself was coming to be his guest. And he prepared, he shined the plates and washed in the table and swept out his little place where he lived. And he would tell the people in the neighborhood he was having a special guest for Christmas. The neighbors would scratch their head, what's happened to Conrad? And he would sit at the window day after day after day, waiting for someone to appear. He didn't appear. He didn't appear. The Lord is coming. I will bathe his feet. I will kiss his hand. I will fix him something to eat. And I will look into his beautiful face. There he was sitting in the window just waiting. But he noticed an old beggar passing by. Ragged, weary, frozen. The December winds had gotten to him. And Conrad calls out, "Neighbour, come by the fire and get a little heat. Get some warm." And he gave him some food. He gave him some food, and he says, "Take off the shoes." And he took off his old ragged, and he mended them. He put a new sole and a new heel on the old man's shoe. "Take a rest from your starved body. Rest by the fire." The old beggar went on his way, full, belly full, warm, happy. Seated by the window, still waiting for the Lord. He sees this old woman who was walking down the street, and she was carrying a heavy load of kindling on her back. He ran out quickly and he said, "Let me help you. Let me take these to your house." And he took the load of her back and he placed it on his back, and he got some food for her starved body, and he took her to her little shack. And they both rested, and he fed her some food. Sitting by his window, waiting for his guest, he heard a child crying. Opening the door, he discovered a little fella wandering about the snow. "I'm lost! I'm lost! I'm lost!" Warm milk, reassuring words brought him into the house. "Don't cry, it's going to be okay. We're going to get this sorted." Soon he was restored to his mother's arms, and all was well again. Sitting by the window, the sun was going down. The winter day was drawing to a close. No promised guest. He was still so lonely. He was still so depressed and so despondent. Why did the Lord not come? Weary, disturbed, he drops to his knees and he prays, "Oh Lord, why have you delayed? I waited all day and you didn't come. I was brokenhearted. I was alone. I had everything fixed for you." From the silence came a voice, more beautiful than any angel he had ever heard. "Conrad, don't be dismayed. Don't be dismayed." He says, "3 times today I was at your door." He said, "I was the beggar with frozen feet." He said, "I was the woman you warmed and fed and carried her burden. And yes, I was a lonely, frightened little child in the street. In receiving them, you have received me." You thought I'd messed up? I was at your home 3 times. A cup of water in my name, a word of encouragement, a sandwich, a cup of coffee, whatever it is. John chapter 20, verse 19 says, "On the evening of the first day of the week, the disciples were gathered together, locked doors. They were afraid of the Jews. They were afraid for their lives. They were trained and taught by the Master, but they didn't know what to say or what to do. They marched with him for 3.5 years, but they were still afraid. Timid, reluctant warriors, speechless messengers. Their most courageous act was to get up and lock the door. When the Roman soldiers took Jesus off, they were thinking, we are next. And they couldn't get it out of his mind. But they couldn't forget Jesus. How could one forget Jesus? Every time they saw a leper, they thought of compassion Every time they heard a storm, they thought of his power, how he silenced them. And every time they saw a little child, they remembered the day he held one and said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." And whenever they saw a lamb being brought to the temple, they remembered his face, streaked with blood, and his eyes flooded with love. Jesus, there's something about the name. There is something about Jesus, and let me tell you one more time, he loves you. He cares about you. And nobody loves you like Jesus the Christ. God bless you.